Hey guys, David here and welcome to the Fit Pro Daily. This week is all about adding systems into your business to either one, be able to step away and let the business run itself, or two, be able to make your life easier by having systems and automations in place so you have more time to focus on what you enjoy doing the most. We're going to start this week off by inviting Liam on as the guest interview. Liam's going to share with us how he managed to grow not only one, but two studios to a point where he could step away, plus he was earning up to £30,000 at some points during that time. Before we do dive into today's guest interview, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do click that big red button below to subscribe. That way you'll never miss any future episodes. Enough of me talking, let's dive straight into today's guest interview. So let's get started. How did you get into the fitness industry yourself then?
Okay, so I qualified as a 16-year-old as a level 2 kind of fitness instructor, as a lot of people do. And my love of kind of health and fitness come from being a very, very skinny teenager. So going through school, I'm very tall. I'm like 6'5". And when you're very tall and very skinny, it's just not very nice. So I had a cousin who worked out a lot, who lifted weights, and I was around his house one day and I kind of started asking questions and he started showing me a few exercises and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And it kind of got me like researching and looking into it. And I started lifting weights and I started to see results, and it just really kind of got me excited. Like, hey, if you do X, Y, Z, you get this result. And then I started reading more and doing more, and eventually it became a passion. And then I thought, well, I've helped myself with this stuff. Like, let's see if I can help some other people. And that was kind of like my journey into the fitness industry.
Wow, okay. And then since then you went on and set up your own studio. That was super successful, the first one.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, there was a lot of ups and downs before setting up that studio. It wasn't till I was about 26, 27 that I opened up my first studio. And I started as a personal trainer, like self-employed personal trainer at 21. So, I mean, I went through the whole shebang of, doing one-to-one training first. And obviously, I as most personal trainers know, you book out your diary very, very quickly. And I started to realize that, yes, this is good money and I'm making money and it's great, but I've got time, every time I'm just like crashing out. I'm having to work weekends. I'm getting up early, I'm going to bed late, and it just wasn't enjoyable. So I started sticking my head in more business books and trying to find out, how can I create a business that can start to run on its own without me being there all of the time? A business stand what needed to be done. The next thing I did after one-to-one PE is run them and blah blah blah. But I had two locations eventually, but I was charging way too little and I didn't really know what I was doing. I couldn't afford to pay myself. I couldn't afford to pay my trainers. And that ended up coming crashing down after about 9 months and put me into a lot of debt. And I learned a lot of valuable business lessons from doing that. But yeah, it was a really, really tough situation, bad situation. And after that boot camp failed, I kind of gave up on having my own business, and I went and got a full-time job working for LA Fitness and doing sales. And if anyone knows my background, then you'll know that a big part of my journey is sales. And that was my first introduction into sales. And back then LA Fitness was really hard sales. And, that was all their business was just getting people sold into a 12-month membership and having basically no retention whatsoever, right? It didn't care after, right? It was very all on the sales team to kind of keep propping that business up. And it was really, really tough, but I learned so many valuable lessons, and I realized where I was going wrong in my own businesses around sales, and realized that I had no real sales process and I didn't really know what I was doing. And then after I left that job, I then got the energy to then go and open up which was originally just some small group training inside of another gym. And with my new kind of sales knowledge and what I'd learned from the failed boot camp, that grew very, very quickly. And then that kind of gave me the funds to then go and open up my first studio.
Yeah. And it's just key learning from these lessons. And if you're passionate about something as well, don't give up at that first hurdle. It was easy, like you say, it was easy enough for you to give up the boot camp, get the job, and then just stay in that job lifelong. But you still had that passion to want to keep helping and keep moving in and trying it yourself. And obviously the gym exploded and it went super well, yeah?
Yeah, well, the more I spent time in, got back to zero, I was like, okay, I'm going to give it another go.
What
Are
a
you
nice.
still there, dude?
I'm back now. I don't know what happened then. It's just suddenly kicked me off. How far had we got?
What was the last thing you heard?
You opened your studio. I think that was about it. That's as far as we kind of got.
Well, this is still recording, so I'm hoping the guys on the Facebook, we can't see you right now either, just so you know.
Give me 30 seconds. Okay, is that me back?
There you go. Yeah, cool. I think the guys may have heard what I was saying anyway. But basically, so I opened my studio after getting some funds together from my small group training, which was going really well, and I got it to a point where I was earning about £4,000 or £5,000 a month, and it was really, really great. It was really, really cool, and I was like, yeah, this is what I want. And I ended up going on holiday. I'll tell this quick story. I ended up going on holiday to Italy, and I watched a film whilst on holiday called The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I don't know if you've ever seen that film.
Not yet.
Right.
Okay.
It's a fun film. It's really, really cool. But to give you the crux of the story, it's about a guy who's kind of bored in his life, and he's not kind of living life the way that he wants to, and he's kind of like creating these visions in his mind, and it's about him going on that journey of creating a life that was meant for him. And it kind of got me thinking, like, I'm playing small, right? I need to start playing bigger than this. And I thought, right, now's the time to take on a coach. I'd never taken on a mentor or a coach before, the whole time that I was in the industry, and this is the first time. So I kind of went looking at mentors and stuff. This is back in like 2014.
Yeah.
And eventually I came across a guy called Simon Lovell, which I'm sure many people will know. I know you know him very well. And he was my first coach. And I basically had managed to save about £8,000 from my studio. I had £8,000 sitting in a bank account. And I was kind of really happy with that £8,000 sitting in a bank account because of all the financial distress that I'd been in years prior. Basically, I got on the phone with Simon, and he basically said, I said, how much is the program? He said £8,000, right? Because I bought both, right? Because he had two programs. I ended up buying both. He sold me both, and it was exactly £8,000. And so I basically emptied my bank account and went all in, right? And I thought, well, this guy's getting great testimonials, people saying his stuff works. I followed him for like 12 months before I took the leap. But I just thought I've got to do it. And it was really scary. It was really ballsy decision, to be honest, looking back, but it paid off because within 4 weeks of going through his program. And basically what he made me do was the biggest thing was put up my prices. I basically tripled my prices and brushed up on my sales again. And I went from about 4 or 5K to 15K in about 4 weeks, a month. And it was crazy. And I'd never hit those kind of numbers before. Like I've never hit above 10K. I'm sure a lot of trainers will know that like 10 grand a month is like the holy grail. That is what you want to hit as a trainer. And I just went steaming past it. And it just blew my mind. And because it kind of made me start thinking bigger, I started to scale what I was doing up further. And before you know it, we were having record months of 20, 25, 30,000 pounds. You know, I can remember in December 2014, we did just short of 30K in December, which is crazy. And, you know, my life changed very, 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 very quickly, to be honest. And it was just an absolute whirlwind. And all those years of struggles started to really, really pay off. And it was just a really, really cool time. And, you know, something that I look back on now and, you know, I'm really proud of, especially because, yeah, like I know I talk about money a lot and that's great. But I mean, the results that we're getting for clients as well was fantastic. You know, we'd really built a strong community. We had some really great people. And I had a great team as well. I built myself out a team of about 6 or 7 people. And we were just having a great time. And it was just really, really cool.
So then quite a few things went on, and then you moved to Sunderland and you basically did it all over again, didn't you?
Yeah, so basically I sold my studio the next year in 2015 because I did a lot of self-development at the time. My kind of life changed and things that I wanted to do changed. So I ended up selling that studio, and I kind of you know, I did some stuff with Tony Robbins. I did his platinum partnership, kind of followed him around the world for a year, did his program. I did some different coaching. But kind of fast forward to 2019, I've also in the past, and I'm doing it now still. I was coaching other studio owners, so that's what I was doing as well. I was coaching studio owners how to scale their business. You know, think more like a business owner rather than, you know, kind of just like a coach. You know, and helping them, show them how to make more money and get their time back again. And that, you know, just basically showing them what I'd done and just replicating that in their business. And it was very, very successful as well, getting similar results to what I did. And then I found myself in Sunderland in 2019, and I just got that, like this idea that I wanted to open up a studio again. I don't know why. It just like was like, okay, this seems like a cool idea. I thought I want to see if I can do it again. It was just to prove to myself in a way that I could do it again, right? Because I've had people before, like when I closed my studio, because I always get the question, well, why did you close studio? Da, 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 right? And I always get them questions. And I used to get people say to me, well, if it's so easy, why don't you do it? Right? That kind of question. So I thought, okay, well, I moved to Sunderland with my partner. I knew nobody. And I thought, right, I'm going to imagine that I've got no money. Okay, what would I do? So I basically started inside of a gym as a PT, and I started doing my small group training. And obviously, because of what I know and what I've done, that grew very, very quickly. And by kind of, I don't know, month 3 or 4, we was doing like 5, 6 grand a month. But it was getting harder and harder to do this in the gym because of space. And I'm sure a lot of trainers go through this, you know, dealing with space and gym and other members. And it was getting harder and harder and harder. So I started looking for a place to rent to run my own studio. And it took me about 3 months, to be honest, 3 or 4 months. And eventually I found a place. And I just basically picked up my client base, took them to this to this new place. I kitted it out. I mean, I spent like £3,000 or £4,000 on kit. I mean, it was like minimal, but because we do small groups, that's all I needed anyway to get started. And we got up and running, and I bought a coach in to start looking after the sessions. And I was completely out of the sessions, and I was just doing kind of more the sales and marketing. And we started hitting those kind of 10K plus months again. And it's just that we just keep. I always keep it very, very simple in what I'm doing. And that's what I find is just trainers and stuff. They seem to want to overcomplicate it. But we had one group training program. One niche. One price. This is all we done. It's very, very simple, right? And it works a treat.
And these are the questions I've got, and these are the questions that people will definitely be considering now, and now you've talked about it. So what is this business model that makes it so successful to get to 10K so quickly? What is the model? Is it big groups? Is it super small groups? What is the class size?
So as soon as I started understanding business and sales, I stopped doing any low end stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's not, for the amount of money that you get and the kind of client you attract, it's not worth it. Right. It's just absolutely not worth it. So I decided I'm going to learn how to sell properly, and I'm going to start selling high end. So each client that you bring on you're going to reap the reward every time. So basically all I was doing was small group training, up to groups of 10. We had one 12-week body transformation program. We started it off at £600, and it eventually went to £1,000 for 12 weeks. And we just make sure we dial in our niche. We were doing women, we were doing weight loss, professional women, kind of 25 to 40, that kind of age. Just keep it all very, very streamlined. You just keep it simple. Right. And the thing is, the second studio I had, we were only open 3 days a week because, the ladies all train 3 days a week. And instead of like opening every day, I was like, well, we're just going to train Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Right. So we didn't 4 days a week. We weren't even open. Right. But we were still doing these numbers. That's because the strategy that I was using, the blueprint, was just so streamlined that I just dictated everything. That's what I find a lot in business, is that they've got multiple programs and they're open every day, and it's just all messy. And you got this price point and that price point. They're trying to cater to all different people, and it just becomes very, very complicated and an absolute stress for the owner. Where I just literally just scale everything down and simplify it.
Nice. Okay. So groups of maximum 10, like you were saying, and then you were pushing people into a 12-week program, starting at 600, and eventually you were pushing it up to £1,000. But what happens after they finish the 12 weeks? What do they move into then? What was the pricing like after that?
After then, we then just put them on a monthly ongoing program of £200 a month. So it's the same program, nothing changes. It's just that they go on a monthly of £200 every single month, right? And that's it, And so I had a trainer ask me this the other day. Do you start the 12 weekers in kind of like different dates and you kind of do them? No, we just kept it rolling. Anyone could join at any time, right? And we just had like an email sequence and some systems that kind of led them through the 12 weeks. And that's the thing. I'm very hot on systems and keeping things automated and making things don't slip through the net. And I know that's something that trainers and studio owners struggle with is maybe the technical, techie side of stuff. But I always enjoyed that part of the business. And when you keep it simple, it's easy anyway,
Yeah. Okay, so people are now thinking, wow, £200 a month, you must have to give them all these sessions and all these nutritions and one-to-one check-ins and all this other stuff. Was it as complicated as that, or was it literally just sessions, tiny bit of nutrition advice and accountability?
At the end of the day, what it comes down to is results. If you're getting results for people, that's all that matters. The client doesn't care about what they're getting. They care about, are they going to look good in their little black dress when they go out on a Saturday night? That is all they care about. So we have to provide what is going to give them that result, like the smallest amount to give them that result. So basically training, we just made it like they must come to training 3 times a week. Yes, we gave them a nutrition plan, and yes, we had a coach check in once a week outside of sessions. That is basically it. And we know that if they follow this blueprint, the thing is, you don't want to overwhelm people and just give them loads of shit, right? Because they're not going to follow it. So we just had some simple habits that we integrated over the 12 weeks, and it got an amazing result for these people. So it's all about the result, but giving them the least amount as possible to give them that big result.
Okay.
Right. That's the key.
Nice. Okay. So where are you finding these people for your business? Where are you finding these leads, and what is it you were doing to get these leads in front of you to potentially sell the 12 weeks?
So we basically, our biggest lead generator was always Facebook ads. When I first went into, I acted as if I didn't have any money. So the first thing I did when I went into the gym and started this group training in Sunderland is that I optimized the gym's Facebook page. And I basically started doing videos around who I was, who I help, and kind of started offering what I call a body transformation session. And before I had even walked in on day number 1, I had 10 consultations booked before I'd even walked into the gym on day 1. So I was walking into appointments, and I started selling people into my program straight away. And that was all for free, obviously, right? And the gym was happy for me to do that. And I leveraged that for quite a while. And then once I got the funds, I then started investing into Facebook ads, which still to this day is the most effective way to generate leads, as you well know, David. Yeah, I just had a simple funnel, nothing too complicated. They just filled out an ad lead, and then drove them to a short questionnaire, and then they booked in for a consultation, right? And then they come to consultation, I sell them into the program. Very, very simple, and it worked time and time again. It worked for me in 2014. It worked for me in 2019 and 2020, right? It doesn't change, right?
The consultation, then, or you called it the body transformation session, is this some sort of magical, super special session where you've got to provide them all this value and give them free gifts and everything to try and get them to pay, or is there some sort of structure to a free body transformation session?
So basically, what I do in that session is to help them get a better understanding of kind of where they're at, right, with their health and what's going on. And basically, I'm not doing any exercise with them, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm there to really help them, and by helping them, that means getting them enrolled on my program. That's where they're going to get the real help. If I was just to help them for an hour, let's say get them in the gym, give them a load of nutrition advice and send them away, are they going to execute and do all that stuff? No, of course they're not, right? Because if they had done that, then they wouldn't be sitting in front of you, because they'd be super fit if they just action knowledge. But it's not about knowledge, okay? It's about accountability and getting the right coaching. So me serving them at the highest level is to get them enrolled on my program. And that is what I do in that hour, right? I help them find out where they are and get them clear on where they want to be, and then show them how my program is going to help bridge the gap. It's very simple.
Nice. Okay. And these are in groups, or is it just a one-to-one thing?
I'll be honest with you. Originally, I used to do these one-to-one, but then I started testing, doing them in up to 4 at a time and doing it more like a presentation style. Both were successful, and I started to opt in more to doing like the small group of 1 to 4 people in a kind of like presentation kind of setting. We'd be signing 2-3 clients, in one go sometimes, which was great. There's pros and cons to both.
Okay.
But we tested both. Yeah.
So you mentioned when you joined Simon's thing, it really helped you increase your sales ability. What type of things did you learn that would help people if they're not so advanced with their own sales?
The biggest thing that I had to get over is my issues with money. Okay, it's not so much the process. I came from a poor, I wouldn't say poor background, but a family that didn't have wealth, right? So money wasn't spoken about in a way that was abundant. Okay, so my stories and my feelings, my beliefs around money were not great. So before working with Simon, I felt like there was a limit on what I could charge. But then obviously Simon helped me kind of push through my stories and my kind of beliefs around money. And although it was very uncomfortable, I started charging more money for what I was doing, which was well deserved because I was getting great results. And it really kind of changed my beliefs around money and how I felt about it. And realized that there are lots of people who have got money to spend on this type of thing. And it just absolutely changed everything for me. That there, so as Tony Robbins says, 80% of business is psychology and 20% is strategy, and I'm a true believer of that. A lot of being a business owner is moving through your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, and dealing with the ups and downs of what a business creates. That's 80% of it.
Definitely agree with the price and things. So obviously when after I did Simon's course, I started at 667. After a couple of sales and getting confidence, I took it to 997. And then a couple of months later, I took it to £1,117 for the 12 weeks. And it is surprising once you know these sales techniques and how to deliver, like you say, the transformation session, you were signing these people up quite frequently as well, which is obviously a great thing. So you can't be doing everything. You can't be doing the lead generation, the marketing, the sales calls, the consultations, and delivering the sessions. How do you go about finding staff that fit specific roles that work for you?
That's a great question. When I had my first studio, I was doing everything to start off with, and it was an absolute nightmare, to be honest. And I had a block on getting staff. Number one, because of the money, and number two, because I felt like no one could do the job as good as me, and it was a very ego thing. But because the first year I had, I knew the area well and I knew the people in and around the area. I started thinking of people who would be a good fit. And I started reaching out to these people, kind of handpicking my team. The first person I got on board was my head trainer, who became my head trainer. And he right away took over 50% of my coaching sessions. And then that opened up 50% more time to then do more sales consultations, do more body transformation sessions. So just by, paying him, like, I don't know what I paid him, like, let's say £500 a month, I then opened up like multiple hours to do more sales, and hence why we were able to grow. So I started to see the benefit of bringing team members on. And then the next person I brought on was actually his partner, a girl called Emily, who became my PA. So she took over all my admin, right? And so from the time someone was sold into the program and getting them set up and looking after, she would handle all of that, and kind of day-to-day running of the business. She handled all of that, and I took her on full time, and that opened up even more time to do selling. And my day was basically go to the gym and do the consultations, and that's all I did, because I enjoyed that part. I liked that part, and I knew that was the biggest lever of the business that was going to make it grow. So I handled that, and then eventually we had about 3 trainers come on board. I actually employed another salesperson to help me because we were getting more and more transformation sessions, and I had someone running my Facebook ads, and I got an accountant, and I had this team, and we kind of had this machine kind of running, and it was really cool.
Yeah, definitely staff is key. I mean, especially if you're doing everything, you can't grow the business. So by freeing up your time to be able to do the things that you need that going to grow the business the most is where you need to find that time. So before we move on to anything else, let's kind of stick with the sales, because you said, again, that's one thing that you're really passionate about itself. What other type of sales techniques are really going to help people maybe close these more expensive programs?
So look, I'll quickly explain what sales is. I think it's probably the quickest way to do this. And what I'll say is that if you're listening to this right now and you feel uncomfortable talking about money and talking about sales and selling to people, right there is what you need to work on right away. Is your beliefs, is your feelings around money, around sales, because that's going to be blocking you. And sales is just such a massive part of business. You cannot get away from it, and it's a skill that you have to learn and you have to get better at. Okay, so that's the first thing that I always say to people, because a lot of people get turned off by talking about sales, talking about money, and getting people properly invested in their health. But if you are, then that's just a real clear indicator that there's some work to do internally for you. Number one. Second thing is that basically what selling is, okay, is really finding out where someone is, right, and getting to the bottom of it, and really establishing what pain they're going through on a daily basis that is causing them to fill out an application form, drive to your gym and sit in the gym, because there's a reason why they're there. And it's your job to be a detective and kind of go into their past, their stories, what's happening on a daily basis, and find out their kind of pain points, where they're at, okay, and spending some time there with them, okay. And this is what a lot of people miss out. They kind of glaze over this and don't do it because it's the uncomfortable part. And a lot of people say, oh, it's, you shouldn't kind of get people to talk about their pain points and stuff, and it's not a nice thing to do. At the end of the day, that pain is already there, and the only way people change is when they're in pain. If you think about all the big decisions that you've made in your life, it's probably because you're using some kind of pain. So if you can kind of help that come out again, they're going to realize, like, oh my God, I'm in this pain and I need to change it. So that's the first step. Once you've done that effectively, you then can go on to what it is that they want to achieve, right? And here, what you do is help them build a powerful vision, right? And really, like, letting them, like, imagine like 12 weeks, 6 months, whatever your program is, into the future, and get them to, like, write down, like, how their life's going to be like, how they're going to be looking, how they're going to be feeling, how people are going to react around them, how it's going to feel putting on a black dress to go out with their friends and feeling all slim, and really building a very, very powerful vision. So when they read it out, they're like, yes, that is what I want. Okay. And what you're doing there is really creating a massive gap between where they are and the pain that they're in, and what they want to achieve, and the vision that they want to have, right? And so you create a massive gap from where they are to where they want to be. Then all you do is you show them that your program is the antidote, the solution to getting them to go from A to B, right? And it's a commute. If you can communicate that effectively, you will make way more sales. Okay, and that right there is the key to sales and what it is. Obviously, I've got a whole process that I do, and I teach other PTs and studio owners, and I wish I could go through it all now, but we just ain't got the time. But that right there is the real kind of fundamental of sales. And the better you get at that, the more people you'll help, the more lives you'll change, and the more money you'll make, and you'll change your life too in the process, right? And that's why we're here, right? To help other people and help ourselves.
That is the body transformation session there in those 3 steps. Remember doing those little
Basically, yeah.
So now you're currently helping fit pros step out of the gym so the gym can almost operate on themselves. What does it involve for a PT who owns a gym to be able to have that freedom to step away?
So I help two types of, I mainly help studio owners, but also what I do fits PTs who are running small group training inside of a space like a gym or whatever, right? So, but let's just stick to studio owners. So what I find is that a lot of studio owners are stuck in their business, basically working a job, right? And they're working long hours. They might be doing one-to-one training, small groups. They're doing the admin. They're trying to do the sales. They're trying to do the leads, and they've basically created their own job, right? And they're getting to a point where enough's enough, and they're thinking about closing the doors. The amount of studio owners that I've helped who are at a point where they're ready to close their doors and go and get a job, right? That it happens it's very, very common. So another thing I see as well is like all these strategies and systems that you can buy just help you say generate more leads, or add this program to your business or whatever it is, and basically all they're doing is just adding more crap to their problem, right? And they're not dealing with the real issues, and the real issues is that they haven't got any kind of foundations in their business that are strong enough for it to scale and grow, right? They haven't got like a blueprint or a strategy that can actually give them what they want, right? So let's say they want to be a business owner, they want to make say 10K plus a month, and they want to have 3 days off a week. They're in this idea, if they just keep working and working and working, that they'll be able to have that, when really it's never going to happen, because they've got, like I was saying earlier, they've got all these different programs, and they haven't got any effective staff, and there's no plan to actually give them the life that they want. So basically what I do with these studio owners is I go in there and we basically just take it back to the drawing board, and I say, okay, you first of all, you tell me what it is that you want. Well, I want to earn this amount of money. I want these days off each week, and I want X, Y, Z. Right? I go, okay, cool. Right, we're going to build a business around that, and we create this business from the bottom up that gives them, actually is going to give them the life that they want. Is there a bit of work and some graft at the beginning? Of course, but eventually it will pay off and actually give them what they want, and that's the idea. And if you, I don't know, I'm sure you'll put a link in, but I've got so many testimonials of trainers saying, hey, I have 4 or 5 times my income, but I'm working a quarter of the hours or half the hours that I was, right? And that's all it is, getting studio owners not only money rich, but also time rich as well. And that's basically what I do.
So is it a case of creating the vision, or actually just mapping the roles and responsibilities that you need to fill, and then finding the right people to fill those slots so you can have that free time?
It is vision, first of all, and getting clear on what it is that they want, because a lot of studio owners don't even know what it is that they want. So I help them get clear on that first. And once we're clear, we can reverse engineer the business and find out, okay, well, we're going to create this business that's going to give you this life. And yes, it is about leveraging staff, but also systems as well, automated systems, and leveraging those first. I've met studio owners who haven't even got like booking systems and automated payments and stuff like that, and I'm like, this is crazy, right? These are simple things that need to go into your business. So we just really simplify things, get as much automated as possible, and then start to think of, okay, let's bring in some staff to take this on. But first of all, the studio owner has to do it. So for example, the studio owner has to do the sales first and start selling at a higher price. So they've done it, and then they can bring someone in to teach them how to do it too. I'm very like, I always make studio owners make sure they do it first, or whoever I'm coaching, because they need to understand it before they can teach it to others.
Definitely. Okay. So if anybody's listening or watching this and wanted to find out a little bit more about you, then where do they kind of go to find this stuff about you?
Right. Okay. So go to Fitness Studio CEO. Okay. So fitnessstudioceo.com. And then you'll be able to go through my free training, which kind of gives a bit more background about me and kind of what it is that I do. And you'll be able to see all the testimonials, all the people I help. And yeah, you can kind of check me out and find out a little bit more about me and my teachings, basically.
Perfect. Okay. Okay. So a few questions have come in. The first question was, when you were doing 30K a month, how many sessions a week were you actually running?
So, okay. So first studio, we were doing, obviously because I had trainers, we opened up the whole timetable. So we were running 6 days a week and we were doing about, I think we were doing about 8 sessions a day, 4 sessions in the morning, 4 sessions in the evening, Monday to Friday. And then on a Saturday, we did 4 sessions as well. And that gave us enough scope. I think it gave us a capacity of about 90 and 100 members. And that was enough to enable us to kind of hit those numbers.
The 30K month, is that front end sales or monthly members?
Well, that was both. That's a combined of new sales and recurring.
Okay. They're the two so far. If there's anybody else watching, guys, what other questions have you got? There is an audio message. I don't know how to get that without turning this off. Somebody else has asked a question, but sent it as an audio message. I don't know how to grab it. But I'm guessing he can reach out to you and ask you that question. No, nothing else. Any final tips or anything on the sales side of things that people watching this who are thinking maybe I'll whack my prices up, that are really going to help them make the sales and not lose potential people because they're not comfortable at selling that price?
I was losing you a little bit on that part, that question, dude. I couldn't really hear that. Could you just repeat that question for me?
Any final tips on sales, especially if you're going to really increase your price?
Any final tips on sales? Not so much sales, but the best advice I'd give anybody around growing a business is stop thinking you have to be more qualified in what you do and start sticking your head in books around business, right? And really understanding what business is and sales and marketing, because that's exactly what I did. I was a level 3 PT with a circuits qualification. That is all I had. On paper, I was probably the least qualified person to go and create what I did, but I knew enough to get results. But what I did was I learned business, right? I learned how to be a business owner, and that was the difference. Okay. And sales is obviously part of that. Okay. And it's learning that as a skill. It's not the only thing that you need, but it's a big part of it. And once you get comfortable with, you know, asking for what you're worth and asking for bigger numbers, and everything changes. Everything does change. Because what you have to remember is that you're changing someone's life, right? And it's a fair trade, and the thing is, when people invest properly, if someone puts down £1,000 to do a 12-week program, are they going to turn up to training? Yes. Are they going to follow the nutrition plan? Yes. Are they going to get involved in the community? Yes. Right. And they always end up being better clients as well, the people that pay more money, and they end up attracting more of their friends who are probably affluent as well. So it's a win-win, right? In my mind, you can only succeed, you can't, it's not the only way, but in my experience, the quickest and easiest way to really start to earn what it is that you want is to start selling more high-end programs.
Yeah, that's it. Just charge more. I think that is the biggest takeaway from this. The call really is definitely charge a decent amount so you can get there quicker instead of having too many people on low ends where you're really struggling and got too much more time given up. Okay, and that was Liam, and you could really see the systems and the things that he put in place to really help him get started, to grow that first studio, to then step away, and then to grow that second studio, which he just got rid of in Sunderland. So that was really interesting, and it was really good to see how passionate he was about sales too. So it's definitely one of those interviews where you probably want to go back and watch it over and over and over again to take note, especially about how he was selling through body transformation sessions, to give you that valuable sales knowledge, that systems knowledge, that lead generation knowledge to really help grow your fitness business. This week is also leading up to the Black Friday sale, and we have a massive special offer going on. Anybody that joins us inside the FitPro portal is going to get 3 months access for half price. Plus on Friday we have a massive deal coming your way. So be sure to come back on Friday to check out that big offer. But until now, don't forget to check out our previous videos just here and subscribe by clicking that big red button below, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Cheers.